Hello, whoever you are. This is day 9 of the Norway cruise, and this is the day of the final um, uh, location that we're visiting in Norway on land. So, the first thing to know about today is that in the morning, my dad and I tried the shuffleboard that's on board. Now, my dad never played shuffleboard before, and I only played it once. So, obviously, we weren't very good, but we had a go at it, and we basically set a rule of playing first to 50, and in doing so, the first game, my dad won. And I think I was about 5 points behind, and then we played a second game again, first to 50, and that one I won, and my dad was about 5 points behind. So we were about even level of skill. Um, there's also a outdoor shuffleboard, a far bigger one, at the top of the ship, but it didn't seem to be in any operation. There were no, giant shuffleboard discs we could throw around. Um, so, in regards to the location we went to today, that was the town of Alesund, and the activity we were doing there was a hiking tour. Um, Unlike the other places we visited, we basically only had time for the hiking tour. It was the longest activity we did. It was about 3 hours. So we did that, and Allison was surprisingly warm. It's north of anywhere in the UK, except maybe Orkney and Shetland and those islands. But yeah, it was 15 degrees. I didn't, was basically in a t-shirt most of the hike. It was basically just walking through town and then going up and down a mountain. Uh, um, and I think it was something like 4 kilometers in total. So yeah, we also had a tour guide explaining various sites. So he pointed out a football stadium off in the distance, and then another one that we walked past. For in the football stadium in the distance, he talked about it being a team that had made Norway's equivalent of the Premier League, the highest league in their country's football, and then managed to get demoted. I think they said they got promoted in their best game ever in the Norway's second division, and then had their worst ever game in Norway's first division. Um, and we passed by another football stadium that was, way down in the lower leagues apparently. In terms of other things we saw on the mountain, we saw more of those sort of maintained sort of barbecue type areas that apparently local councils build, that I saw in Molde. So we saw another one of those. So I guess they really are everywhere. And we also saw some evidence of Germany's occupation of Norway in World War II. So we saw some bunkers, whatever. We couldn't go in them as I wasn't in the scope of the tour. And I'm trying to think of other notable things on there. We got to the very top in a sort of cafe type place, but I think the cafe was closed. But there was some good views. We were able to get views of the different islands that make up Alesund, because apparently Alesund is made up of several islands, joined together with the bridges, and apparently they've recently opened some tunnels that go under the under the sea between the islands. They don't have to rely on ferries as much. So yeah, I got some good photos of the various islands and views down the mountain. And on the way back, we came across some statues. I didn't realize that apparently this town has quite a favorable view of Kaiser Wilhelm II, the leader of Germany during World War One. Apparently, before the war, he liked to visit Alesund because it was a great place for salmon fishing. He really liked fishing. And this is quite important because in, I think it was 1905, the town got burnt down in a fire. And basically, Wilhelm helped rebuild the whole thing. Um, so, I think we came across a statue of him. There was also a statue of a Viking named Rollo, and he's notable for. I mean, I knew a bit about him already. He sort of was the predecessor, or predecessor. He was an ancestor of William the Conqueror. So basically, he had a band of Vikings, and they were sort of going around pillaging in Sweden, which was fine. Then he was pillaging Norway, which wasn't fine because he was Norwegian. So he was pillaging his own countrymen. So the king banished him. That bit I didn't know about. The bit I did know is that he went along to colonize Normandy in France, and sort of, made a deal with the King of France to, stop raiding the place if he could just be in charge of Normandy. So he became the Duke of Normandy, and then one of his descendants was William the Conqueror, Duke of Normandy, who went on to conquer England. So it was interesting to learn the full story there. I'm trying to think of other notable things we saw. Oh, there was a fish and chip stand that called itself the best fish and chips in the world. Couldn't try it, unfortunately, because again we didn't have enough time. As soon as the tour ended, had to go straight back on the ship. So that was it for Alisund. In terms of other things, we did say the show this evening was was different to the others because it was the acts were all crew on the ship who have jobs besides entertainment. So we're talking housekeepers, security, people in accounts, and that sort of thing. Considering that they were all amateurs, the show was like really good. It was like singing and dancing and all that, and it was also pretty funny as well. There was some like Filipino music and dancing, since a lot of the crew are Filipino. I was interested to see. It was just a pretty good all around. That was that for the act. Now, another thing to note is that after that, we went to the quiz, and this quiz was by far the hardest quiz we've done on the ship. Like, I'm talking really hard. The theme was the names used for groups of various types of animals. So, murder of crows, that type of thing. Murder of crows was the one question. And my parents and I got right. We teamed up with 2 other people, so there were 5 of us, and there were 15 questions. We got 1 correct, and that was murder of crows. This thing was diabolically hard. Probably the hardest quiz I've ever done. I think the best team got like 7 out of 15. There was a bit of shenanigans because they said, they called out, we got a similar word to this one, so there were a couple of ones they were given that probably shouldn't. So probably the best score was actually more like 5 out of 15. But anyway, so that concludes everything for today. We've not got long left now. In 2 days, we arrive back in Newcastle. So that's it for day 9.